Morning. Welcome to Grow Your Strength, or afternoon if you're watching this as a recording. Today I'm going to take a little time to foam roll. So just to show a couple of places that you can do some releasing before you might do some training. And so I'll start with my hip, and I'm just going to gently bring myself onto my right hip and distribute the weight, offset it between my feet and my hand, and just give myself a little roll, a few passes back and forth. You can change the angle. If you find that your hip is very sensitive, it's very tight, you can just stop the rolling and just do some breathing in this position. If you want to get a little deeper into your hip, then you could take some time to cross your ankle over your opposite knee. So I've got right hand, right hip, right ankle across. And this puts this hip into a little external rotation, and it can make it more intense feeling. But that's okay. It should be about a tolerant of 4 out of 10. So if it's anything more intense than that, then just back off the leg or back off the weight as you go through a few passes. As a general rule of thumb, I'll say 10 passes and then switch over to the other side, especially if you're not trying to change anything long, just as a exercise kind of release of the hip. If you do have some tightness in your hips, 10 passes might not be enough. You can certainly spend a fair bit of time in this kind of work, just depending on your body. And so here I am just doing the other side. And because I did try the ankle across, I'll go a little deeper into the hip on this side. All right, so there's my 10 and 10. And then lastly, I'm just going to roll my back before I go into breathing. So if you're just joining us now, you can just take it into some breathing, rolling just sort of at the bottom edge of my shoulder blades. I support my head and come up. And then I'm just going to give myself some passes with my hips off the ground. I don't recommend going lower than the edge of the rib cage, so not down into the low back. I try to get as high as I can in my shoulders, and you can even offset by turning a little bit to each side. All righty, so there's a little review on rolling the hips and back. And now I'll take it into some breathing. In this program, I always like to start with some breathing in either a face down or face up position. Take some time to micro adjust anything that doesn't feel quite right. Get the back set, chin tuck. Just start to go through some breath cycles with the intent of getting a little deeper and a little slower than you might be breathing. You're thinking about it. From here, I'm going to take us into a reverse tabletop hold. So bringing my feet off the floor and hovering my knees over my hips. Same thing with the arms, but not reaching for the roof, but feeling anchored in the shoulders and shoulder blades. Chin is tucked. Now you can breathe in this position and just check that your hands and feet are relaxed, and try to go through some diagonal reaches. I'm turning my head and just looking at my overhead hand. Bring it back over to the other side. Something to watch for here is that as you reach this knee that's here isn't coming up closer to your shoulder, it is harder to keep the knees right over the hips and not have a change in the posture of your rib cage and back. If you need a little hug, just pull your knees into your chest, and you can egg roll a little to the left and to the right. Pretty much any angle goes, as long as you can maintain this posture that I'm talking about and breathe. So go a little wider, you could still go on a diagonal, turning the head loosely, not taking tension in the neck. We do some short passes, some wider passes, just all maintaining this time under that connection. So after you've done a couple of those, I'm going to take us next to the knee bends and ankle mobility work. I like to set myself up with my non-working leg straight. I just adjust my back, make sure that feels okay. Check that this working leg is straight as I pull the knee into the shoulder and extend up. Some people carry a lot more tension through the back of their legs than I do, and it's just really hard for them to extend the knee. So just back off your strap so that you can start working the tissues through the back of the leg to leg. Doesn't have to be as straight up as me. 3 to 5 of these moves, and then just hold that extended position and start to work the foot, spreading the toes, taking some time to find the end range that you can achieve by pointing the toes to the roof and pulling the toes down, pushing the heel to the roof. And a good stretch response. Here's the ankle rolls. Sole of the foot comes in and out, trying to do it with different angles. So here's my toes pointed to the roof, and then back down to toes pulled to the shin. Okay, challenge yourself to go through a couple of slow circles. I'm going slower than I want to go, or that's usually going. When I do that pass, I get a nice stretch response through my calf and the back of my knee. So just challenge yourself to find those spots where you can get some release. And then we'll do a cross hip stretch. You can take the leg across the midline. So I'm stretching my right hip, but I'm not letting my right hip lift off the floor. Just be mindful how that feels as you bring your leg across. You can pulse in and out or hold it, pull the toes a little more to the shin. That brings on a lot more stretch response for me. It's taking some time to ease into that stretch. How does that feel? Now holding your breath, and then we'll bring it over to the other side. We'll just go through the same sequence, setting up the posture first. How does this leg compare to the other side? If you've got one leg or hip or anything that's holding on to more tension, those release techniques like the roller or spending a little bit more time on the tighter areas is a good idea. The ankle movements, keeping the legs still, spreading the toes. Rolling the sole of the foot. I see I have quite a bruise on my shin. I can't remember quite what that was. I think I walked into a shopping cart at the grocery store. That happened to you? Okay, circle. Well, I was thinking about something else, obviously. There we go. Okay, that's good. Now let's work on the hip. Roll to the side. Controlled articular rotations is the acronym for CARS. Articular meaning joint. And this is a system that I learned through functional range conditioning. And I'll often use that acronym. Let's do some hip CARS. Let's do some shoulder CARS. Essentially, we just did some ankle CARS because we took the ankle through the joint range of motion. This is worthy of your time. Just taking the leg around in a circle that you can control. So don't try and yard it anywhere that feels strange, but my feet are relaxed and I'm really trying to explore what goes on as I kick back. I can feel the muscles activating. I'm still breathing nice and deep. It's a core exercise as well as a hip mobility. Okay, a couple circles each way and then switch sides. I like to roll the top hip forward just a bit so I can feel stable and make sure that I'm not moving through my low back. This is just all hip. Good. Now we'll take it to half kneeling. Onto one knee. And just take some time to level out the hips. Arms at your sides. We'll do a few pulses forward. Try to get some length and stretch in through the front of the hip and thigh without arching the back. After a few pulses forward, let's take this front foot out on an angle and pull the heel in and just sink into it, trying to keep your heel on the ground. You're a little tighter in your ankle, you might be a bit further out. Then after a few pulses, just bring that foot out and see if you can gently sit into the hip, really creating some stretch and some space through the whole pelvis. I look like a shadow. It's the sunshine today. I think I might go open the curtain in a moment. I'm trying to keep cool and be seen. Let's switch sides. I've got the bright lights on. That always adds a couple of degrees to the apartment. Okay, so I'm getting that stretch. Feels good. People opening up with the heel in. A little bit deeper. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to take us to double bridges next. So I'll set that up and then nothing like a live show. We'll open my curtain. So here's the double bridges, chin tuck, align the low back, open up the feet. So as you come up, you can activate your hip muscles and down and release. Take some time if you need to adjust your posture with every rep. After you've done a lot of these, it just becomes sort of natural to make sure you're not arching up with an arch in your back, because that puts stress on the back. Okay, so about 10 of those. See whether the difference. Yeah, maybe a bit. Okay. So after 10 double bridges, I'm working on the single leg bridge as well. If you're new to bridges and you go to the single leg position and this doesn't feel good, then just stick with double bridges for a bit more time. But for the single, my feet placed for the double, I take one foot off. You can just hover your knee here, or you can gently hang on to your back of your thigh. I like an arm across the rib cage as a reminder that I'm not coming up into an arch. Ideally, I want to start working towards a set of 15 single leg bridges on one side. And that is a lot, especially if you start to feel the fatigue. You might feel like, okay, that I've done the work there. Switch sides and keep going, match your reps. And as you do this over time, try to establish a higher rep range up to 15. Switching back to side one. And if you are just doing double, you can do a lot of doubles. It's okay. Higher rep ranges, no problem. Make sure you check the posture. Okay, so once you've got your reps there, I'm going to switch us over to hands and knees and go over a mobilization for the upper back and neck. So once I come to hands and knees, I'm going to sit my hips back a little bit towards my heels. One hand's going to go behind my head, and I'm just going to take some time to gently rotate up, looking at the roof. And then bring the elbow down towards the floor, towards your hand. Just be mindful of how this feels, but trying to open up through the upper back and finishing that rotation by looking at something upward gives you some neck. If this doesn't feel good to have your hand all the way behind your head, I mean, other options would be just to have your hand across your chest, or one hand in the small of your back works as well. Okay, about 5 of those, and then we'll switch to the other side. Completing that, we'll take a stretchy band and go into a set of rows. I reviewed kind of a new addition to the row last week, which I called the 2-step. So first off, get that nice tall position and check the tension when you bring the elbows to the sides. You can take a few repetitions and just kind of feel like you're pulling or squeezing your shoulder blades together. That movement is called scapular retraction. So you pull them together, and as you release, there is a spreading. Now the 2-step kind of works on that principle a bit more. You pull back, you hold the pinch, then you release the arms slowly, and then allow the band to sort of feed forward into a little stretch between your shoulder blades. Then you reset, row, hold the pinch, release. Now you can see I'm just letting that tension pull a little bit through. Still keeping a tall posture, but I can feel my scapula coming apart away from the center of my spine. I don't think we have to do the 2-step for every repetition moving forward of a row motion, but I do really think that it's going to help to strengthen up those postural muscles. I'm going to finish with 5 just straight pulls, but maybe with a better sense of what's going on when I pull the elbows back and I release. Trying to stay out of anything that is shrugs upwards. Let's go from here to some clamshells. I'm not going to use a band for my clamshells, but if you want to put a loop band on to increase the resistance, that you can. I'm going to go through one knee only clamshell, and then take the knee and foot off, hovering, keeping the knee in that height, and then guide your leg into internal rotation. See if you can go through about 5 of each of these. So there's the knee only, and there's the internal rotation. I think in some of the earlier videos of this program, I put the band on right away. And there's pros and cons of using a band. You know, how are your hips feeling? Are you ready for some added resistance? Have you done a lot of this work? Because internal rotation, so this is the external, and you bring the knee up. This is the internal rotation, comes from right in through the front of your hip here. This is quite challenging, and when you don't have a band on, you can usually access a little bit more range. You're not limited by that loop band. We'll switch sides. There's my knee. And return to breathing. If your core box is sort of defined as everything from your hips pelvis up through your shoulders, your spine being in the center of your neck. You can see that there's a lot of core control here. My front hip is just slightly rolled forward. I'm not just stacked up here and tucked, so my belly button sort of light beam would be hitting the floor. Full range of motion, no band. Nice deep breathing. Super healthy for your hip. Okay. After this, I'm going to take us up to standing. And we'll start with taking the feet wide and just giving ourselves a little opportunity to stretch the straight leg. Back up. Over to the other side. From the side, I'm trying to get my hips back. Not going knee forward. So hips back. Adjusting the stance a little narrower for what feels comfortable for a squat. Your feet can be straight or they can be turned out. As you pull yourself down into your squat, you want to think about being right in the center. Sometimes if we have some tight hips or ankles, you feel like you don't notice it, but you might offset. One way to kind of figure that out is to go left and right a few times and then find your center and come back up. You can also push out with your hands, sort of gently pry and sit a little bit more. Make sure this feels okay. Nice deep breath as you go back up. Just with that body weight, I feel that in my quads. Now this is the hip hinge. So I'm taking my hands, sliding down my thighs, sitting my hips back. But my back stays neutral, so I'm not rounding or overextending. Nice upright hips back. All the natural curves of my spine are there. You just work hips, hamstrings, stand back up, try to float your posture over your feet. Do a few more of those. Today when I was thinking about this program, I decided I would get a little fancy with the balance one. So I'm gonna grab a ball next. And you've got some choices, but I like to try and go into a balanced reach, transfer the ball around your back, and then switch direction. And then come back up to standing and switch feet. Now, if balancing on one foot is not happening to do that, what you do is you just kickstand your back toe a little. So the most of the weight is on your front foot, and you kickstand that back toe a little wider. Is going to even be easier for you. But I'm not balancing my weight between my 2 feet. Definitely on my front foot. Okay, and then with some practice, we'll just go through this one more time per side that I've been talking. You can go into a full reach, squaring the shoulders and hips, slight bend in the base knee, not holding your breath. Let's get a little bit more creative with your arms, so you get some shoulder work as you're doing that. A good connection with your base foot will also help. Here, breathe, just playing with the tasks of balance. A little bit more activity in my right foot than my left foot. Takes a little bit more focus to keep my toes nice and long and connected and not all scrunched. Okay, let's move right into curtsy lunges, alternating sides. This is where you can start to add some load if you want to. Grab some dumbbells. You could hold a weight in the center of your chest like a kettlebell. The curtsy lunge, oh, there goes my ball, as it crossing back. It's one of those days. And then switching sides. Okay, so from the side, I get control of my balance, drop down, back up to posture, switch sides. Only going to a depth that feels okay on your hips and knees. Okay, so if it wasn't too deep, you could still get a lot of benefit from just doing a cross tap like that. Or you're going a little deeper, powering yourself back up to posture. Looks good, gals. All right, now we'll go into the squat. And I'm looking for 8 squats with a slow count down. So I'm going to keep the same weight for this set and bring the weight to my shoulders, adjust my feet for a squat, get ready to inhale, and I just come down nice and even and press away. Once you start doing a set of squats, if you're like, this is going to be too easy, you can switch your weights. You could go slower. You could do more reps, right? And then you have to modify if it's feeling like 8 would be too many. Do less reps, change the weight down, go back to body weight. So you have to dial what you do with every exercise. We don't want to hurt ourselves exercising. That actually happens way too much. And so be mindful of that, please. I'm going to take us next to push-ups today. Push-ups and cat-cow. So whether you do push-ups on an elevated surface or on the floor, you want to set yourself up like a plank. Give your hips a little activation, pull yourself in, and push away. When we did that row 2-step, I talked about shoulder blade retraction. And so that is part of the push-up move. When I lower myself to the floor, my shoulder blades are coming together. It's not just an arm exercise. It's a whole shoulder complex and core. Of course, there's arm strength, a lot of things going on. But I'm actually thinking about those shoulder blades coming together and apart as I push up. And then a few cycles of cat-cow. Let's just gently give the back full flexion and extension, slowly rolling through each section of your back, vertebrae by vertebrae. Letting the head be heavy, pushing the floor away, and then slowly reversing that. Nice work. Okay, we'll come back through this set again, starting with the curtsy lunge. Grab a little water. I'm gonna take my dumbbells, position myself square to the wall in front of me, and alternate 5 per side. Good. Okay, and go right into the squats. If you need a break, take one. Otherwise, weights to the shoulders. Pull yourself down. Feel the heart rate going up with the back-to-back exercises, up to about 8 squats. Excellent. I was just reading an article in the Strength and Conditioning Journal, National Strength and Conditioning Journal, about how loading and different amounts of load affect the oxygenation in the brain. It's pretty compelling reason to keep trying to go with our weights and trying to go heavier. Let's do push-ups because we all are concerned about brain health. And it was very positive as far as the weight training and the brain health. So whether it was on the wall or finding that set up position on the floor, I was emphasizing thinking about the shoulder blades, pushing through your whole hand, not just the base of your wrist. Kind of get to a number on any given day where you're like, that's pretty good. I'll be happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to take us to feet side by side shoulder carves, and then we're moving on. So just taking some time to grab that ball again, align your posture, and we'll bring one arm up, gently squeezing the ball. You reach a point where you have to turn your palm back, and you want to try to resist the urge to rotate the body or lose the posture by leaning back. Taking the hand up into the small of your back. Can you turn your head? Don't lock up your neck in any way. And then reset, and we'll rewind out of this. Squeezing the ball and just feeling some deep connection in through all of your shoulder. Good. Your side. Don't always cue the squeeze as much, but it definitely changes the activation right up and through your shoulder complex. There's my head turns or a few tilts. Refine the posture, chin tuck, get tall. Rewind, squeeze. So good. Okay, so we'll go first to picking up something heavy in each hand, and I'll time us for 30 seconds. So look around in your space. What have you got that you can hold for 30 seconds? You have an option of just standing or taking a step back and a step forward. You don't have to travel too far. You own the weights. Okay, let your body sort of stand tall with the weight. We want to be working up to higher weights in each hand. That sounds like a lot, but up to 25% of our body weight in each hand for up to a minute. And that's could be a long way off for you. I'm not suggesting you go there without a slow build, but it is very possible. There's half a minute. Take some time to slowly set the weights down. And we're going to go from here to overhead press today. So I've changed it a little bit in that in previous programs, we did a bicep curl and an overhead press. And today I'm just separating them all out so you can see how you can play with maybe slightly heavier weights overhead. You can rotate your palms into your shoulders, depending on how heavy the weights are. You might be able to go a little wider with your angles. You could go straight up, palms in. Or you could open, stay fairly close to your ears. The double overhead press, it's asking a lot. You don't want to be going into a shrug. Let your shoulder blades move with the weights. Open, press, pull back down. Great. Got one more in me. Very good. Okay, and then to break up this into the row, I'm going to just take a weight and go into a staggered stance row. So here, weight is in the right hand, right leg back, square the shoulders. Depending on the weight you're using, 6, 8, 10 reps. Not too easy, not too hard. Stay out of the neck as you roll the elbow to the side of your body. Just to the side, don't have to go further. Work the shoulder muscles. Switching sides, match your reps. I'm going to go back to the carry. So setting yourself up over something heavy, taking some time to pick that up, walking or holding. Focus on the posture. It's 10 seconds in. Aiming for 30. There's 15. 20. 25. And 30. Nice work. It's amazing how light the hands feel after doing that. Back to the overhead press. Find your foot position. How many reps do you plan on doing with the weights that you have in hand? Just stay focused on the quality, the control up, and the pull down. Looks great. And then we'll take it into that bent over staggered row. I'm going to try and go a little heavier this time. Stagger my stance. Square the shoulders. Count my reps. E7. Switch sides, match your reps. Okay, so I wanted to work on the get up today. Kind of throw that in every once in a while, like, okay, let's leave some time to talk about the get up. If you only had limited time and you just wanted something to do, the get up would be your answer. It's a practice that takes a little bit of time to learn. Once you know the technique, you can start to load it. And I'll go through a get up body weight and then loaded, and we'll see how that differs. So I'm starting on my back, lining up my core and chin. I've got my left arm up and my left knee bent, my right arm and leg out on an angle. I'm connected through my shoulders. Take a breath in and roll. So this connection is important. When you come up to the elbow, you don't want to be in a shrug. Okay, you want to push that elbow in and center your shoulder joint. Press into your hand and adjust your hand so that you can lift your weight between your hand and your foot. Looking up at my top hand, I lift up and pop my knee through. Sitting into my hips, then I come into a half kneeling position and adjust, tuck my back toe, and stand. I step back, get control of my balance, soft knee to land, open up that front foot, and come down to your hand again on your down knee side. Take the weight through the hand and foot and kick through to your hip. Here's that same position, no shrugging, and pull to the floor. Now, sometimes parts of the get up, particularly when you come to standing, are not achievable. You're not there. So you just do what I would call a partial get up. You could make this your partial, and you could just go up and down from your elbow, or come up to this tall sitting position and then go back down. So you don't have to keep progressing the get up if you don't want to. But if you do partials, you want to do more than one. You could do 5 to the elbow, for example. I've often had clients tell me that get-ups actually feel better when you start adding some weight. It's like you have something to move through your body. And it's a practice, you know, there's kind of the technique. Strong First has like a instructor's manual that gives us the standards of what we're looking for as a Strong First certified instructor. And we're aiming to practice and improve. So now here's the get up with weight. I take the weight to one side, press up. Now I've got something to anchor my shoulder in. I feel like there's that load there. But the technique doesn't change. Perhaps I want to take a bit bigger of a breath because I want to support my low back and core as I go through the same stages as I come up to half kneeling. I'm really anchored into my shoulder. I want to stay anchored in the shoulders as I stand tall. No shrugging as I stand up. Taking some time to step back, get control of my balance before I slowly lower. Open the front foot. That's a little easier on the knee. And I come down to my hand and weight shift right over my hand. My weight feels stable as I kick through, down to the elbow and down to the floor, all the way back down. Rolling to the side and putting the weight down carefully. And then you can just turn your body and switch around. You guys are doing great. I just have one more side to go through. And I hope that you're finding this helpful to, I guess, hear little cues. Sometimes even adding a 1 or 2 pound dumbbell or even a ball. This particular kettlebell is 15 pounds. And I have control over it. I can talk. I'm breathing and sort of lightly bracing my core as I go through, getting a challenge in shoulder strength. Here's a lunge, right? Here's balance, hip mobility, back to core and shoulder strength, owning that connection through my shoulder as I return back down to the floor. This is one of my favorite exercises, and I hope that you can share that get up love. To finish today, let's go into 1, 2, 3 freezing with a little bit of load in hand. So I've got 2 10-pound dumbbells. You could take whatever you have available to you. And you're going to go 1, 2, 3 and freeze. And think about what happens when you land. There's a little ground reaction force through your ankle, knee, and hip. So you want to avoid, the loosey-goosey. And 1, 2, 3, freeze. Switching the angles, maybe take a step back, to the side, forward. We want to add a little bit more balance challenge to this. Just when you're in the freeze, take a moment to blink, take your visual away just for a second. And that helps train that eyes closed balance. We want to keep improving. Okay, we're doing great. Go for 15 more seconds. That impact through your ankle, knee, and hip. Breathe. And last reps. Well done. I'll turn the tape off and we can say goodbye. Hope you enjoyed the class. Thanks for building a stronger version of yourself with me.